Welcome to Ryan's Revelations, where we uncover the truth behind America's most shocking relationship betrayals. Real people, real affairs, real consequences. These are the stories no one wants to talk about, but everyone needs to hear. What you're about to hear is a true story from Chicago. Names have been changed to protect identities, but every lie, every stolen moment, every heartbreak is real. This is Ryan's Revelations. This is the truth about Forbidden's desire. I was a happily married man, until a hotel booking error put me in a room with a woman who wasn't my wife. One night of weakness turned into a 6-month affair that destroyed 2 marriages and left 3 people broken beyond repair. Before we dive into this story of betrayal, make sure you're subscribed to Ryan's Revelations and hit that notification bell. Because what you're about to hear will change how you think about business trips forever. My name is Michael Hayes. I'm 28 years old, and 3 years ago I had what I thought was a perfect life. I was married to Sarah, my college sweetheart. We'd been together for 6 years, married for 3. She was a kindergarten teacher in Portland, Oregon, with this infectious laugh and a way of making even bad days feel okay. We had a small house in the suburbs, 2 cats, and plans for kids in a couple years. I worked as an HVAC systems engineer, traveling occasionally for conferences, but always coming home to her. Our marriage wasn't passionate anymore, not like the early days, but it was comfortable, safe, predictable. That's what I told myself anyway. The truth? We'd been drifting for about a year. Small things at first. She'd stopped waiting up for me when I worked late. I'd stopped noticing when she wore something new. Our conversations became transactional. Did you pay the electric bill? Can you pick up groceries? Don't forget my mom's birthday. We hadn't had sex in 2 months, maybe 3. I'd stopped counting, but I wasn't unhappy. Not really. This was just marriage, right? The initial spark fades, and you settle into companionship. That's what everyone said. I never thought I'd be the type to cheat. I judged guys at work who did it, the ones who bragged about hotel hookups on business trips. I thought I was better than that. Moral. Faithful. I was wrong. It started in Chicago, October 2021. I was there for a 3-day HVAC industry conference. My flight from Portland got delayed by fog, then circled O'Hare for another hour because of air traffic. By the time I dragged myself into the lobby of the Sheraton downtown, it was past midnight. I was exhausted, irritable, and just wanted to crash. The front desk clerk looked as tired as I felt. "Mr. Hayes, room 412. Sorry about the late check-in. We've had some system issues tonight." I barely registered his apology, just grabbed the key card and headed to the elevator. The hallway on the 4th floor was quiet, dimly lit. I swiped the card, heard the beep, and pushed open the door. And froze. The room wasn't empty. A woman stood by the bed, mid-30s, with long chestnut hair falling past her shoulders. She wore yoga pants and a loose t-shirt, clearly settling in for the night. Her eyes hazel, sharp, stunning, locked onto mine with a mixture of surprise and alarm. "Who the hell are you?" she demanded, her voice steady but tense. I held up my key card like it was a shield. "I just checked in. Room 412. She grabbed her own card from the nightstand and showed it to me. Same number, same room. "Damn it," I muttered. They must have double booked. We stood there for a moment, sizing each other up. She was beautiful, I noticed that immediately, and felt guilty for noticing. Her camera equipment was spread across the desk, expensive-looking gear that marked her as a professional. "I'll go down and sort it out," I said, already turning toward the door. "Wait." Her voice softened slightly. "It's after midnight, and the lobby was packed when I checked in. They'll probably take forever, and honestly, I'm too tired to deal with it right now." I hesitated. Every instinct said to leave, get my own room, maintain appropriate boundaries. But she was right about the lobby. It had been chaos down there. "I'm Rebecca," she said, making the decision for both of us. "Rebecca Monroe, photographer from Austin. Here for a corporate shoot tomorrow. Michael Hayes, engineer from Portland. Conference starts in the morning." She glanced around the room, 1 king bed, a desk, an armchair, a small bathroom. Not exactly designed for sharing. "Look," she said, "if you're okay with it, we can just split the bed for tonight and sort it out in the morning." I promise I'm not a psycho. Just exhausted. I should have said no. I should have gone back downstairs, demanded another room, slept in the lobby if I had to. But I was tired, and she seemed reasonable, and what harm could one night do? "Okay," I heard myself say, "just for tonight. I'll take the left side." We established a barrier down the middle of the bed with pillows like kids at a sleepover, which would have been funny if the situation wasn't so awkward. She disappeared into the bathroom first, emerging in modest pajamas that somehow made the room feel even smaller. When she was settled on her side, I took my turn in the bathroom. I stared at myself in the mirror, my wedding ring catching the light. What was I doing? This was innocent, I told myself. Just a booking error. Nothing would happen. I didn't text Sarah, she'd be asleep anyway, and what would I even say? Hey honey, sharing a bed with a strange woman tonight, but don't worry, we've got a pillow wall? When I came out, Rebecca was already under the covers, scrolling through her phone. I slid in on my side, careful to maintain the barrier between us. Good night, Michael, she said, setting her phone on the nightstand. Good night, Rebecca. I lay there in the darkness, hyper-aware of her presence just inches away. Her breathing, the slight shifts in the mattress when she moved, the faint scent of her shampoo, something floral and clean. I thought about Sarah at home, probably asleep in our bed with the cats curled up beside her. Guilt nibbled at the edges of my consciousness, but I pushed it away. Nothing was happening. Nothing would happen. Eventually, surprisingly, I fell asleep. When I woke up, everything changed. I woke to the smell of coffee and the soft sound of rain against the window. For a moment, I forgot where I was. Then I remembered the double booking Rebecca, the pillow barrier. I opened my eyes to find her already awake, sitting cross-legged on her side of the bed with her laptop, editing photos. Morning light filtered through the curtains, catching in her hair. She looked beautiful. Morning, she said, glancing over with a small smile. Coffee? I have a travel maker. Yeah, thanks. She poured me a cup from a small pot on the nightstand, black, strong, perfect. We ended up sitting by the window, watching Chicago wake up in the rain. The conversation started casually but flowed easily. Too easily. So, married? She asked, nodding at my ring. I looked down at it, the gold band feeling heavier suddenly. Yeah, 3 years. You? Long-term boyfriend, 4 years. We lived together in Austin. She paused, staring into her coffee. Though lately it feels more like roommates than partners. I knew I should change the subject, steer us towards safe territory. Instead I said, I know what you mean. My wife and I. We're good, but the spark's gone. We're just going through the motions. Exactly, she said, looking at me with understanding that felt dangerously intimate. Brian, my boyfriend, he's a good guy, but we've stopped really seeing each other. We're together, but I feel alone. We talked for 2 hours. About our relationships, our disappointments, our secret fears that this was all there was. She told me about Brian's emotional distance, how he prioritized his law practice over her. I told her about Sarah's increasing resentment of my work travel, how we become strangers living in the same house. It was the most honest conversation I'd had in years. And that's when I knew I was in trouble. Around 9, the front desk called. They had another room available if I wanted to switch. Rebecca and I looked at each other across the room. She raised an eyebrow. Well, want to escape your accidental roommate? I should have said yes. Packed my bag, moved to the other room, never seen her again. That was the safe choice. The right choice. Nah, I said, my heart pounding. If you're cool with it, I am. Saves the hassle. Her smile widened. Roommates it is then. The rest of the day, I went through my conference sessions on autopilot. The technical presentations about refrigerant systems and duct optimization might as well have been in another language. All I could think about was Rebecca back in the room. What was I doing? I was married. She had a boyfriend. This was dangerous territory. But when I returned to the room that afternoon, she was there waiting, and seeing her smile when I walked in made my chest tight in a way it hadn't been in years. How was the HVAC nerd convention? She teased, riveting. How was your corporate shoot? Soul-crushing, but I got paid, so ... She held up a bag. I grabbed sandwiches. Figured you'd be hungry. We ate together, talking and laughing like old friends. The pillow barrier stayed between us at night, but it felt more symbolic than real. We weren't touching, but the emotional intimacy was building brick by brick. That evening, we ordered room service and watched a movie on the TV. Somewhere during the film, our hands touched on the bed. Neither of us pulled away. It was just hands touching, innocent, meaningless. Except it wasn't meaningless at all. Michael, she said softly during a quiet moment in the movie, is it wrong that I'm enjoying this? I looked at her, my pulse racing. Enjoying what? Us, the way we can talk. The way I feel less alone. She met my eyes. I know we're both committed to other people, but I haven't felt this connected to someone in years. Me neither, I admitted. And yeah, it probably is wrong, but I can't seem to make myself care. We stayed up late talking, the pillow barrier between us feeling increasingly artificial. We didn't cross any physical lines that night, but emotionally, we'd already crossed into territory we couldn't uncross. The next morning, my last day in Chicago, reality came crashing back. I woke up to a text from Sarah. Hope the conference is going well. Miss you. Can't wait for you to come home. Guilt hit me like ice water. What was I doing? I had a wife who loved me, a marriage I'd vowed to honor. And here I was, developing feelings for a woman I'd known for 48 hours. Rebecca noticed my expression. What's wrong? Sarah texted. My wife. She nodded, her face clouding. Brian called last night while you were in the shower. I didn't tell you. Felt ... I don't know. Real. We sat in heavy silence, the weight of what we were doing or what we were about to do pressing down on us. We should probably stop this, I said, though every part of me screamed against the words. Before it goes further. Yeah, she agreed quietly. We should, but neither of us moved, neither of us said goodbye. That afternoon, as I packed to leave, she watched from the bed. So this is it? She asked, back to our real lives? Has to be, I said, though my hands were shaking as I zipped my bag. She walked me to the door. We stood there, inches apart, the air between us electric. Michael ... she started. And then I kissed her, or she kissed me. I don't know who moved first, but suddenly her mouth was on mine and I was pulling her closer, and 3 years of marital vows evaporated in an instant. We stumbled back toward the bed, hands exploring, clothes coming off. In the back of my mind, a voice screamed that this was wrong, that I was betraying Sarah, throwing away everything. But I didn't stop. Neither did she. Afterward, we lay tangled in the sheets, both breathing hard, both knowing we'd crossed a line we could never uncross. Oh God, Rebecca whispered, what did we just do? I stared at the ceiling, my wedding ring catching the light. I don't know. If you're watching this on Ryan's Revelations, you know that one moment of weakness can destroy everything. Hit that like button if you've ever faced temptation and subscribe because this affair is just beginning. I flew back to Portland that evening in a fog of guilt and confusion. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw Rebecca, her smile, her touch, the way she'd looked at me when we'd finally pulled apart. What had I done? 3 years of marriage, thrown away for one afternoon with a stranger. Except she didn't feel like a stranger. She felt like the missing piece I hadn't known I'd been searching for. Sarah picked me up at the airport, cheerful and affectionate, asking about the conference. I lied easily, too easily. The sessions were good, networking was productive, hotel was fine. Every word felt like a knife in my chest. That night, lying in bed beside my wife, I felt like a fraud. Sarah curled up against me, her head on my chest, completely trusting. I stared at the ceiling, Rebecca's face burned into my mind. I told myself it was over. One mistake. I'd never see her again. I'd be a better husband, more attentive, more present. I'd make this right. But 3 days later, my phone buzzed with a message from an unknown number. Hey, engineer. Can't stop thinking about Chicago. Is that wrong? Rebecca, I stared at that message for 10 minutes, my thumb hovering over the delete button. I should have blocked her. Should have never responded. Instead, I wrote back same, and yes, it's probably very wrong. Her reply came immediately. We should stop this before it gets worse. I agreed. But neither of us did. The messages started slowly. Check-ins about our days, harmless at first. But they quickly deepened. Late-night texts when our partners were asleep. Photos of our daily lives, her on a shoot in Denver, me working late at the office. Within 2 weeks, we were talking every day. Within a month, we'd graduated to phone calls, sneaking away to empty conference rooms at work or taking long walks in the evening. I feel like I'm going crazy, she admitted one night, her voice hushed through the phone. Brian's right here, completely oblivious, and all I can think about is you. I know, I said. Standing in my garage at 11 p.m., the cold October air biting my skin. Sarah thinks I'm taking work calls. I'm lying to her constantly, and I hate myself for it. So why don't we stop? Because I can't, I admitted. Rebecca, I think I'm falling for you. Silence. Then softly, I'm already there. We made plans to meet again. I manufactured a work trip to Austin in November, told Sarah. It was mandatory, unavoidable. She believed me without question, kissed me goodbye, asked me to bring back some of that Texas barbecue. Each lie came easier than the last. Rebecca and I spent 3 days in a hotel in downtown Austin, barely leaving the room. We made love, talked for hours, lived in a bubble where guilt couldn't touch us. She told me about her dreams of leaving Brian but feeling trapped by their shared lease and intertwined lives. I told her about my growing resentment toward Sarah, how I felt like I was suffocating in suburban mediocrity. We could do it, Rebecca said on our last night together, her head on my chest. Leave them, start over. Together. Could we? I asked, wanting desperately to believe it. Or would we just destroy two people who don't deserve this? Maybe, she admitted. But Michael, when I'm with you, I feel alive for the first time in years. Me too. But we didn't leave our partners. Not yet. We went back to our double lives, her with Brian in Austin, me with Sarah in Portland. And the affair continued, hidden in stolen phone calls and secret messages. I became an expert at deception. Deleting texts immediately after reading them. Creating fake work events to justify trips. Showering the moment I got home from seeing Rebecca to wash away her perfume. Looking Sarah in the eyes and lying without hesitation. Christmas was the worst. Sarah and I hosted her parents, the house decorated with lights and cheer. I played the dutiful husband, carving turkey and laughing at her dad's bad jokes. All while texting Rebecca from the bathroom, telling her I wished I was with her instead. On New Year's Eve, as midnight approached, Sarah kissed me and said, "Here's to another year together." "I love you so much." "I love you too," I lied, the words ashes in my mouth. Later that night, alone in the bathroom, I texted Rebecca, "Happy New Year. I miss you." "Miss you more," she replied. 3 more weeks until you're here again. The guilt was eating me alive, but I couldn't stop. Rebecca had become my addiction, my escape, the only thing that made me feel real. Sarah started noticing changes. "You've been distant lately," she said one January evening. "Is everything okay?" "Just stressed about work," I lied. "Big project coming up." She bought it, but I could see the worry in her eyes. The trust was eroding, even if she didn't know why yet. My next trip to Austin, Rebecca told me she and Brian had been fighting more. "He can feel something's off," she said, fear creeping into her voice. "What if he figures it out?" "Then we deal with it," I said, kissing her forehead. But the truth was, I had no plan, no exit strategy. I was trapped between two worlds, unable to commit to either. The affair stretched into spring. 6 months of lies, 6 months of stolen moments, 6 months of slowly destroying the lives of two people who'd done nothing wrong. And then, inevitably, it all came crashing down. It happened on a Tuesday in April. I was supposed to be at a conference in Seattle, another lie, another manufactured excuse to see Rebecca. She'd flown in from Austin, and we'd booked a room at a boutique hotel downtown under her name. We'd gotten careless, comfortable. That was our first mistake. The second was me leaving my phone unlocked when I jumped in the shower. Sarah had called my office that morning, some question about our taxes. My coworker mentioned I wasn't actually at any conference. I'd taken personal days. When I didn't answer her calls, she got worried. When I still didn't respond hours later, she got suspicious. So she looked at our phone records. Found the Austin number I'd been texting constantly. Rebecca's number. Sarah did what any suspicious spouse would do. She called it. Rebecca, not recognizing the number, answered. "Hello? Hi, this is Sarah Hayes. You've been in frequent contact with my husband, Michael. May I ask who this is?" I was in the shower when it happened. Didn't hear Rebecca's panicked knock on the bathroom door. Didn't know my entire life was unraveling in the next room. When I stepped out, towel around my waist, Rebecca's face was white as paper. "Michael," she said, her voice shaking. "Your wife just called me." The world stopped. "What?" "She knows. She found our messages in your phone records. She knows." I felt like I'd been punched in the stomach. My phone, I'd left it on the nightstand, showed 17 missed calls from Sarah, and a series of texts that made my blood run cold. "I know where you are. I know who you're with. Don't bother coming home. How could you do this to me?" The last one simply said, "We're done." I called her back, hands shaking so badly I could barely hold the phone. She answered on the first ring. "Sarah, don't," she cut me off, her voice cold and sharp as glass. "Don't you dare say my name. Don't you dare try to explain. I'm so sorry. 6 months, Michael. You've been lying to me for 6 months. Every conference, every late work night, every time you said you loved me, all lies. I could hear her crying, and it destroyed me. Sarah, please, let me come home. We can talk. Talk? There's nothing to talk about. You made your choice. You chose her over me, over our marriage, over everything we built together. That's not true. Don't you dare lie to me anymore. She screamed. I called her, Michael. I talked to your little photographer girlfriend. She didn't even try to deny it. Do you know how that felt? Finding out my husband's been fucking someone else for half a year? Rebecca stood in the corner of the room, tears streaming down her face, clutching her phone. Sarah, I never meant for this to happen. But it did. It happened because you let it. Because you're a cheater and a liar, and I was stupid enough to trust you. The line went quiet except for her sobbing. When she spoke again, her voice was hollow. I packed your things. They're in the garage. My brother's changing the locks tomorrow. Don't come back to the house. Sarah, please. I hope she was worth it, Michael. I hope she was worth destroying everything. She hung up. I stood there, naked except for a towel, my marriage ending via phone call in a hotel room with my mistress. Rebecca approached me cautiously. Michael. I need to go home, I said, my voice mechanical. I need to fix this. Do you still want to fix it? She asked quietly. I looked at her, this woman I'd risk everything for, this woman I'd told myself I loved. And suddenly, standing in the wreckage of my marriage, I wasn't sure of anything anymore. I don't know, I admitted. I need to go. I threw my clothes on and left, leaving Rebecca alone in that hotel room. Both of us casualties of our own choices. The drive back to Portland was a blur. I tried calling Sarah 40 times. She never answered. I tried her parents, her sister, everyone had been told. Everyone hated me. When I got to our house, the garage door was open. My clothes, my tools, my things all boxed up like trash. The locks were already changed. A note taped to the front door, don't contact me, talk to my lawyer. I slept in my car that night, parked in our driveway, staring at the dark windows of the home I'd built with Sarah. The life I'd thrown away. My phone buzzed. Rebecca. Brian knows too, I'm so sorry. I told him everything. He left. It's over. We'd both lost everything. The question was, did we at least have each other? Or had we just destroyed 4 lives for nothing? You're watching Ryan's Revelations at Ryan's Revelations Official, where affairs always have consequences. Subscribe for more real stories of betrayal and forbidden love. The week after Sarah kicked me out was the darkest of my life. I crashed on my buddy James's couch, unable to face an apartment of my own yet. James didn't judge, he'd been through a messy divorce himself, but I could see the disappointment in his eyes. You threw away a good woman, he said one night over beers. Sarah didn't deserve this, I know, so why'd you do it? I'd asked myself that question 1,000 times. I don't know. I felt trapped. Dead inside. Then Rebecca came along and I felt alive again. And now I feel like shit. Sarah refused to see me. Her lawyer sent divorce papers within 2 weeks. She wanted it fast and final. I didn't contest anything. Kept the car, gave her the house, the savings, everything. It was the least I could do after what I'd put her through. Rebecca and I kept in contact, but the magic was gone. The affair that had seemed so passionate and necessary when it was forbidden felt hollow in the harsh light of consequences. She'd moved out of the place she shared with Brian, found a small apartment in Austin. He won't even look at me, she told me over the phone, crying. 4 years together, and he couldn't get out fast enough. Said he'd never trust anyone again. Same with Sarah, I said. I destroyed her. We destroyed them, Rebecca corrected. Both of us. This is on both of us. We tried to make it work us, the relationship we'd blown up 2 marriages for. I visited Austin again in May, but this time, there was no hotel room excitement, no stolen moments, just 2 guilty people trying to justify their choices. Do you love me? She asked one night as we lay in her new bed. Really love me? Or was I just an escape? I wanted to say yes, wanted to believe that all this pain had meaning. But looking at her, I realized the truth. I thought I did, I admitted. But I think I was in love with the idea of you, the way you made me feel. Not actually you, she started crying. That's what I was afraid of. Because I feel the same way. I loved the attention, the excitement. But this? She gestured at us at the wreckage we created. This isn't worth what we did to them. We broke up that night. quietly, with no drama. Just two people acknowledging that they'd ruined 4 lives for something that wasn't even real. I drove back to Portland alone, more lost than ever. The divorce was finalized in June. Sarah sent one final email. I hope you find whatever it is you were looking for. I hope it was worth what you gave up. Don't contact me again. I saw her once more by accident, at a coffee shop we used to frequent. She was with someone new, a guy I didn't recognize, making her laugh the way I used to. She looked happy. Moved on. She saw me too. Our eyes met. For a moment, I thought she might come over, might give me a chance to apologize face to face. Instead, she turned away, took her new guy's hand, and left without a backward glance. That hurt worse than anything. Rebecca and I texted occasionally, but even that faded. By summer, we'd stopped entirely. Last I heard, she'd moved to Seattle, was seeing someone casually. We'd become strangers again. I eventually got my own place, a small apartment in Northeast Portland. Started therapy to figure out why I'd sabotaged my own life. The therapist asked hard questions. Do you think you loved Rebecca, or did you love not being married? Did you actually want to leave Sarah, or did you just want to hurt her? What were you running from? I didn't have good answers. Just a growing understanding that I'd been deeply unhappy in my marriage. And instead of communicating that or leaving honorably, I'd chosen the coward's way out. A year later, I was at a bar when I ran into one of Sarah's friends. She recognized me, and her face hardened. You have some nerve showing up here. I didn't know this was... Do you have any idea what you did to her? She cut me off. She cried for months. Stopped eating. Couldn't work. You destroyed her. I know. I'm sorry. Your sorry doesn't mean shit. She leaned in close. She's happy now. Engaged, actually. To a man who knows how to be faithful. Don't you dare go near her? I won't. I promised. And I meant it. 2 years after the affair ended, I was different, older, supposedly wiser. I dated occasionally but kept things casual. Trust was hard, not just others trusting me, but me trusting myself not to fuck it up again. Sometimes I thought about Rebecca, wondered how she was doing. Wondered if she thought about me, about what we'd done. Wondered if she regretted it as much as I did. The answer didn't matter. We'd both made our choices, both paid the price. Sarah had moved on. Brian had moved on. We were the only ones still stuck in the wreckage. That's the thing about affairs, nobody tells you, even if you get what you wanted. Even if you end up with your affair partner, the guilt never really leaves. The knowledge that you destroyed someone who trusted you, that you're capable of that level of betrayal, it changes you. I see men at work now talking about business trip hookups, and I don't judge them anymore. I just feel sad. Because I know where that road leads. I've been there. And there's no coming back from it untouched. On what would have been our 6th anniversary, I drove past the house Sarah and I had shared. New people lived there now. The garden she'd loved was different. The curtains changed. Our life together erased. I pulled out my phone and typed a message I'd never send. I'm sorry. For all of it, you deserve so much better. I hope you're happy. I deleted it. Some apologies come too late to matter. You've just experienced a Ryan's Revelations exclusive investigation into how one hotel mix-up led to 6 months of lies, betrayal, and the destruction of 2 marriages. This story, like all our content, is protected by copyright and exclusive to this channel. If you found this story on another channel, you're watching stolen content. Report it, and then come subscribe to the real Ryan's Revelations at Ryan's Revelations Official. This channel is dedicated to exposing the truth about affairs, betrayals, and forbidden relationships across America. Every story is real. Every choice has consequences. Every betrayal leaves scars. What's your verdict on Michael's story? Like, if you think he got what he deserved. Comment below. Could you forgive a cheating spouse, or would you walk away forever? Subscribe to Ryan's Revelations Official for more real affair stories every week. Share this with someone who needs to understand the real cost of infidelity. Coming next week on Ryan's Revelations. She was my wife's best friend, the affair that cost me everything. Don't miss it. Subscribe now. This has been Ryan's Revelations, where the truth about affairs is always revealed. Remember, if it's not on Ryan's Revelations, it's not the real story.